We are live. My name's Steve Shigera.
And I'm Mike Foster.
Let's get going.
Let's just get into it.
Yeah. What the hell? We're in the same place.
It's crazy.
He's real.
Yeah.
And
well,
turns out only you are a robot.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. We're live in Toronto for the first time. Somebody came from across the pond to come hang out.
I did indeed. And we have beer.
So cheers. And cheers to everybody watching. It's we're past 50 episodes now.
52.
And version 2.0. So super excited to finally meet for the first time.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we worked together like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've actually met. And the important thing is that I am taller. You can see it right
Yeah. It's
now. We know it now.
Yeah. All right.
But anyway,
a little taller.
Straight. And he has a raging hangover.
Oh, yeah. We normally are on the show, well, typically every Fridays now, 10 a.m., but we're doing it Tuesday at 4 because I could barely get out of bed until an hour ago. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Shall we hit the general news?
Let's just get into all the good stuff.
Alrighty, the first thing is not an article. It's something I want to mention that Willie brought up last show, and that was the KubeCovid hashtag. As a result of KubeCon, there was several different people who were reporting they had after and kind of during actually. And so they were trying to track and get stats, and 2 weeks have gone by. They sent an email and they give the stats, and it doesn't make for interesting viewing, but the stats were 121 positive COVID tests for people, 1.7 of the total attendee on site.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that's 2 weeks after as well, right? So there probably a couple of those might not even have been from KubeCon.
Could have been the flight.
Well, I'm happy I met you now after the flight and not after KubeCon. That would have been risque.
I waited 2 weeks. I was responsible. It was funny because when I got on the flight, it said, "Have you been in any countries within 14 days?" And I was in Spain 15 days ago.
Oh.
So I was like, nah, I'm good.
Oh, yeah. You have to fill out the app, right? Coming to Canada?
Yeah. We've done through all the Canada hoops.
All right. Well, so we're going from kind of one cloud native thing to the other. Open cost. So
open cost.
Yeah, I stumbled across this one today, actually. And there was KubeCost, I think, right? Is the other open source.
They were at KubeCon.
Yeah, that's right. And I know that I think Red Hat uses like the open source version for some things as well. But now we have another one, OpenCost, an open source project for monitoring Kubernetes spend.
Had you heard of it before now?
No, it's got to make it on the show now, right?
Oh, look, it's born out of KubeCost. It kind of says there.
So yeah, I forked it and did something else with it.
Community-driven specification. That's cool. I think this could be a future tool time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice one. Try it for yourself. All right, so expect this on tool time in the not so distant future. Looks very cool. Next.
We had some more supply chain reading list.
Yeah, so ChainGuard are, well, they're a company or like they're commercializing SIG stores sort of.
Yeah.
So they've produced this nice little reading list. Link will be in the show notes below. Software supply chain, all the usual, do's and don'ts and NIST publications, etc. But I would say a good weekend and more of reading.
Yeah, that's a lot.
There's a lot here. It's big.
SIG store, SBOMs, Tufts in there, certificate transparency. That's got that's a lot.
I figure we could do it like an entire supply chain special and just look at them all and go, just read these 5.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. Honestly, the next 2 years, seeing who is the winners and losers, I think of all the supply chain applications is going to be fun. That's all the general news. We're going to keep the show nice and quick too, so that we can get into drinking as well. I don't. Can you say that on YouTube? You can now.
You can say poop and all sorts of words now.
Crazy. Yeah. All right. Well, that's just leads perfectly into the next segment. Yeah. So you had this one. I think you posted this one article.
Cybersecurity isn't. Can you, producer?
Yeah.
Cybersecurity spending isn't recession-proof, but it's pretty close. This will relate to a later one that we're going to talk about as well. But it was essentially, there's been a bit of a reaction. I think a lot of it's to do with Lacework layoffs, we mentioned in the last show.
Yeah.
And so everyone's kind of in shock that, well, we were in shock, the fact that we were able to do Big Spender every week for 50 weeks. And actually, we don't have one this week.
Yeah. None.
Which is the first time. And we have instead articles saying it's all going to hell.
Yeah, no more big spenders. Who would have thought? But it actually makes a good point. The perks of regulation, the perks of the government getting involved into cybersecurity a little bit more. It's just going to be seen as sort of a cost center for a lot of different companies that they know they need to do these things.
Yeah, it's actually, I'm not going to get into the philosophy of whether it is a cost center, but I mean, it isn't.
Yes, fair enough.
But it is, you are in the end better off for it. But yeah, so it's interesting. I'd be curious to see how it plays out between now and the end of the year, and probably leading up to next March when people are blowing money in budgets and stuff, to see if we do get another year of insane spending and insane, like C series 500 million. Like, is this the beginning of the slowdown?
Yeah.
Well, remains to be seen, doesn't it?
It does. So yeah, you got to pay attention for the next year. We'll review it. Review. That's right. Version 3 coming soon. So for the next one, we had banking Trojans. You also put this one on.
I did put this in. Yeah. This was
10 most prolific banking Trojans.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. I didn't realize how many. Where's the apps? So if you have any of these apps, beware. Binance, Cash App, Guaranteed BBVA Mobile, La Banque Postale. That sounds very Canadian.
It does.
Ma Bank.
Ma Bank.
BBVA is getting picked on a lot, but there's a lot of just bad crap going on. But UK 55. So check that out. I was a little bit surprised. June 6th. That's pretty. That's it. Yesterday?
Yep.
Yesterday. Hot off the presses. Mm-hmm. So that was a bit surprising. 1 billion users are downloading banking Trojans from legitimate app stores.
Yeah. That's and those are only the 10 most prolific. I kind of want to see, the 20. How did they get the information as well? They had a couple bots that were going around just looking to see how many apps were infected.
Oh, it doesn't say that. Well, maybe it does, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, okay.
But I thought it was pretty shocking.
Yeah.
We have one more WTF?
Yeah, one more WTF. I found this one pretty much after I woke out of a coma 30 minutes ago and read it on Reddit. Literally, so I believe the story is somebody leaked a Chinese tank, like a classified Chinese tank schematics online to win an argument. And I think a lot of it is from their games and things like that, where you're playing as tanks. And so they fight over the accuracy of the tanks in the game because they want to make it as real as possible.
Right.
And so to win an argument, somebody's like, no, the tank does this. And they posted classified tank schematic. So they won. Like, maybe the Chinese tank does have this feature in it, but now everybody knows. Tank schematics.
So military secrets to win an argument.
Yeah, that's how stubborn somebody is.
You don't have to be a cybersecurity hacker to get crap. People just give it away.
I would hate to be in his office the next day.
He's in trouble.
Oh yeah. For sure. All right, that's a good section. So we don't have any more big spenders, but I do just want to hear the intro.
But no, we have a token article about it, so you can do the intro.
All right.
All right. This is why when we were doing our show notes, I titled this "No More Big Spenders," but it's M&A activity, merger acquisitions shows no signs of slowdown, which is good for us, good for our show. But the line underneath is the important thing. Valuations have dropped. Investors are, now this seems like it should have been obvious, paying closer attention to revenues, profitability. And then, as you roll down, they mention very simple things like run rates and stuff they really should have been paying attention to the first time around. It's just kind of funny. Like it just confirms what we've been saying a lot. What do you got?
There's actually one point I just wanted to make because this is a conversation. If you can scroll up a little bit, I think they were mentioning. So if approved, we'll bring VMware's Carbon Black Security under Broadcom's roof. Yeah, there's just a lot of things that are up in the air right now in that acquisition. But sorry to jump in. I think there's valuations. I think there has been spending also to avoid taxes, right? Because you have a lot of reinvestment in the U.S. where we just made record profits, but I don't want to give 50% to the government, right? In business taxes, so I'm just going to reinvest it.
Yep.
So now it's about finding that sweet spot and a lot of uncertainty.
And I'm not sure if this mentions, the first line in this mentions cloud security vendor Lacework's recent announcement that will reduce headcount just after it secured 1.3 billion in a funding round. Whoa. So that just doesn't add up. So, but we've been saying this for approximately 51 episodes.
Yeah, some of the valuations have been a little crazy. A little bit.
Yep. 53 unicorns.
So if we missed one, put in the comments, but I didn't see any major purchases other than VMware. I mean, that's still blowing up.
Yeah.
Most of the chat's online right now.
We mentioned that already.
And we'll see if it goes through. You have to pay attention to check out more. All right, on to the CV section. Steve, basically you ran this entire show because I was concussed for a while.
Self-concussed.
But we have a bunch of vulnerabilities to get through this week as well.
Now, what starts with the letter C?
Back.
We are.
We are back. And by the way, if you're wondering why I have headphones on, it's just so I can monitor that all that weird. We've never done this before.
Not live. It is a very different show when you're live versus when I just had to take care of my own stuff. And then you're on the other side of the world.
It turns out the pandemic has made us very good and very tech savvy at doing shit alone.
Yeah.
But
my social skills plummeted. It's very hard to talk with somebody in the same space now.
Yeah. It's eye contact is difficult. We're still talking, staring at the camera, even when the camera's not on.
Yeah.
So this CVE, there was a Microsoft 0-day exploit in the wild. Well, there was a 0-day and there was an exploit released. And you want to fire up the...
let me bring it up. Researcher
on Hacker News. So there's a sequence, actually. If you go to Hacker News and you see the one that came out the 30th that we missed in the last show, I think it's late. You watch a pretty funny series of things where there's a 0-day. There's a 0-day exploit. Skip through a few articles. Chinese hackers are exploiting the Microsoft 0-day vulnerability the next day. This is the 31st. So I just found it all very funny that anytime there's a Microsoft vulnerability, it will be exploited. Mm-hmm. It's like an absolute guarantee. It's not one of these researcher moments.
Best bang for buck, I think, that you're going to get.
There's just tons of it out there, and they are the least likely to patch it. So the one in between those two, the 30th, then later on the 30th was Microsoft issues patch. Next day, being exploited all over the place.
Yeah, and I remember in the first version, we had an article that was talking about the average time for a patch. And Linux, I think, patches at an average of 15 days.
Right.
And Microsoft and Apple were 60 to 90 days or something like that, if at all. So you got a lot more time there. I think Kubernetes was at 30 days or something like that, but that is too funny.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it. There's a nice description in the article, then you can see it in the show notes if you're curious how this thing works or whether you're affected by it. But it's remote code execution, so bad, effectively. So is that the only one I had, or was there another one?
You had one more. That was the Swagger.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sweet one.
All right.
So this was released. This was an actual researcher related one. The Swagger UI, a cross-site scripting to, well, anything, right? Once you're doing cross-site scripting, you can make anything run on anyone's computer. In a way, it's a remote code execution. It goes into some wordy detail. Like it's really just scroll all the way down, forget all this. And it's passing into the Swagger API a link, and then some text. And there is a sanitizer in there, and it was using, there it is, DOM Purifier. That's a library. It was using an old version of DOM Purifier and always used it up to date. If you're doing anything that sanitizes inputs in AppSec, always make sure that thing you're using for the sanitization is actually the most up-to-date one. So you can see in the sanitizer here, you pass in tags for HTML that are bad, and you can see on the screen, style and class usually means that you're going to attach it to that. So what he did was he went and found an example piece of code, and see if that's in here. It might be a little bit small, but he's got an image equals, and then he's got JavaScript embedded. And normally you put that within a style tag or a class tag, but he went and just searched HTML and go, well, what other tags can you do the same thing with? And they hadn't blocked enough things. So it was as simple as he replaced the style with, and then where text area and title behave the same way as style. So we just passed that in instead, and it passed the purification, and he had cross-site scripting via Swagger, so he was able to do all sorts of stuff. It was so simple, like I don't know, I'm gonna say it barely qualifies as research, but it seemed like such an obvious thing someone would try.
Yeah, that
when
everybody's overlooked it too for a while.
Yeah, and well, the thing is, it's an old version of DOM Purify. So I think the latest DOM Purify had figured it out already.
Oh, okay.
But there's just too many instances, and particularly Swagger's pretty well used.
Yeah, and they just hadn't updated.
They just hadn't updated. It's just a classic example of people just not updating the libraries and dependencies that they use. So there we go. Check your DOM Purify and make sure, well, Swagger's updated now, so you're good. But that was it. I liked it.
That's it. And then we had the last thing. So I was supposed to be doing the demo. Steve stepped up in my time of need, and you're coming through. Well, I guess we'll get into the tool time first.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Yes, KubeClarity. You got this running on your local host, right? I believe.
Let's hope so. It's been set.
Yeah, you can hear your fan is buzzing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I get too much stuff going on the laptop. So KubeClarity. Let's give the overview here. I have a bunch of things. KubeClarity, API clarity for, well, open API specifications. But KubeClarity is an observability tool for the security of your Kubernetes cluster, and something that, well, hobby and commercial, we are involved in heavily. So my interest is to see, well, how good is it, right? Because we both are part of something that sells commercial products that do exactly all this. So let's check it out. That's a cool logo, no doubt about that. It does SBOMs and then vulnerabilities in container images and the file systems associated with the nodes, I think. And sexy looking UI.
Yeah.
And it was easy to install. It was just a Helm install. I'm not going to let you live through that. This is worth noting in the background. It's generating Cyclone DX SBOM and using SIFT. And then for scanning, it's using Gripe, which is made by Anchor, and Dependency Track, which is an OWASP project.
Gotcha.
And easy enough, add the repo. You can mess with the values. I left them as a default, so they seemed okay. And then you install it, and then you wait. If you go to it right away, you get nothing. So how small is that,
That's
right?
very small.
So that is annoying. And so one thing I did notice is that this dashboard is flipping small. And
Can you zoom in?
I zoomed in.
Ah, but then it kind of cuts it off.
But even at, that's 100%.
Yeah, it's not
And it's
dynamically
already
changing. Yeah?
too small. So let's just deal with it. I'll zoom in.
Yeah. Right,
And we'll just
fixable vulnerabilities. Yeah. we
surf
get there.
around, right? So you get, over time, vulnerability changes over time. Top vulnerable applications. This is a React application that Anais Ulrich uses in her demonstrations.
Okay.
So I stole it because I knew it's got vulnerabilities in it. And it was kind of nice. Focuses on objects like applications, application resources, which I found a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
Because it's not speaking in Kubernetes speak.
Yeah.
Packages, so that's your SBOM. And you can see these are the vulnerabilities lists. It's a little crowded, but that's kind of zoomed in. And you can see whether there's a critical vulnerability there. You can click through. It does one of these things too, where you're like, okay, everything's in a row. So I click through, and there it is, not in a row. But I don't get any additional information there. But
Yeah, interesting.
okay, for the sake of it. Then you get vulnerabilities. I don't know why it doesn't auto order by severity, but it didn't. So you got to kind of do that.
That is interesting.
And you can see your critical vulnerabilities, 9.8 in SSL, BusyBox, intentionally out of date, found with gripe.
Now, does it tell you that it's fixable versus
It
not
actually,
fixable?
I think there is ways fix versions.
Vulnerability source.
Yeah, so it's kind of, version is available. Okay.
Okay.
And then you get your fixed version here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, then there'll be a label there.
Yeah, and it wipes out all the ones you can't fix anyway. So these are the ones you care about.
Yeah,
you
that's
can do
good.
something about them.
You almost will like. I feel like this should be the default dashboard.
Yeah, this should be the
Right?
first thing.
I want to know the critical ones, and I want to know if they're fixable or not, and let's just knock those out right away. But I don't mind the sort.
But you don't know where it is.
Yeah,
It doesn't say what pod it's in.
that is true. It doesn't. So if you click the two applications, it won't show you.
Well, it tells me the application type pod. Well, it's only one pod. Yeah, okay, let's do.
Okay.
So this is where we're going to experiment.
All right.
Part of the demo. So let's get rid of that. So it does nothing when you arrive. You have to go to the bottom and say start scan, because otherwise it's just empty. It doesn't do it automatically. So you choose the thing you want, and I'm going to go sock shop because I only just added it.
Great demo. Great demo app.
And then you click start scan. And honestly, that's a lot bigger than the single app I had. And it should start scanning, and I didn't think it through that it might take a while. But I don't know if stuff just shows up.
On-demand scan with target namespace. I do like the targeted namespace aspect.
Yeah, that is cool, because you don't want to scan everything, right? So let's get pods. This should be the cluster. You can see it just deployed. Sock shop sitting right there. And my laptop's melting down now because Gripe is trying to scan like 15 pods or probably.
Yep.
And there we go. That's how I want to see. The scanners are popping up now.
Oh. So it opens up a container for each to scan each other container.
Yeah, it's like it plays these jobs.
Yeah.
It's actually very similar to the way Starboard works.
Yeah.
Starboard does the same thing. In fact, Starboard's probably there. So Starboard's doing the same thing because I use Starboard in that cluster.
Right.
So I'm kind of doubling my effort here. But Starboard's done. That's good. So this, I should probably put watch on it because it's, well, I don't know if we need to do this.
That progress bar really does not want to move.
Well, this is part of the demo. I thought, well, Sock Shop's pretty small.
Yeah, it should be quick. It's very small apps.
And all the pods are already there. You don't have to pull anything.
Yeah.
You just
I'm wondering, if it would map like the layers. So let's say the default, the base image for Sock Shop is all the same. I'm not saying it is, but it kind of seems like a waste of energy to create a container for everything and scan every individual container if all the base layers are the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
You almost would want to go, hey, is that specific version all the same base layer? Okay, well, we'll just group it. We'll group it, right?
Yeah, you can almost start caching results and make it really fast.
It's starting to run now, so.
Metric server.
It's that startup time. I think it's just going to take
good. There we go.
Yeah.
So progress bar is working.
All right, so
I don't know if stuff shows up like as soon as it's done. Oh,
We'll
no, it's
find
just-
out.
This is the. Let me just double check that I didn't get kicked out of my. What do I call it? Forward?
Mhm.
Yeah, I did. So minor technical difficulty. I don't know if it loses its place.
Space. Yeah, that's a weird. Yeah, you think about all the information it's gathering and shipping to the dashboard too. Do you know what the resource requirements were for the app?
I can look at that. I do.
I don't want that laptop to work any harder than it needs to right now. I can probably look it
This
up.
is if my boss is watching. An M1 Mac would be really. I have to run these Kubernetes clusters, and my work laptop's a 16 gig of memory, 2019 MacBook.
Yeah, Docker takes up a lot.
This is Rancher desktop, and I started using that because Docker just ate it alive.
Yeah. Oh, there's. Need to get M2 Mac.
M2 just came out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
There you
There's
go.
Michael Mann. Do you have one of those? Leave one in the comments and tell me whether we should just go straight to the M2. One of them says completed. Well, let's hope that under applications, I have more than one application. Does the results show up right away? I don't think we're going to have the patience to wait for this to end. We've got the point across.
Yeah.
In fact, good. There we
I mean,
go.
to me, it seems like a container image scanner with a nice dashboard and some more sort of correlation between the data built in, right?
It's for free.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's just comment on it now.
Yeah.
So for free, it's okay, but there's a huge difference between this kind of observability and actionable data. That's hard because it's just producing what I would say is a ton of noise. And I wanted to do Shock Shop because I thought that's really going to be noisy.
Yep.
So then what do you do? The dashboard.
It is the difficult thing with security researchers because they have to know what they're looking for. So here's maybe they're used to working with virtual machines and certain displays. You come in here and you're talking about Kubernetes, KubeClarity, but then it's applications, it's not containers. There's no real correlation between the data. There's no Kubernetes context that's added in, right? So, like, kind of great start, but you're missing a lot of, I think, useful information. Right? If I'm trying to find the application, I want to know, okay, well, is this mounted to anything? Like, yeah, there's a high vulnerability in that app, but I have nothing else.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things I was thinking would be useful. This is a little bit self-promotional. Would be to get. It could be either Chekhov or Kubliner or any of the ones that scan the deployment.
Take that information in
and then bring that into the tool. So now you're talking about this deployment has these images, and that's the way the UI is organized.
Yep.
And that would just make this thing so much more actionable.
Yeah, you just need to map the, like you said, a Chekhov or a kubelinter, all that information to the container. And
yeah, it doesn't matter which one it is. They all produce very similar results, but just so that you acknowledge the manifest and the connections between them and use that context to present the packages and the bumps and the images and create that hierarchy, and that would be so much easier to navigate. I think it's dead. I think just scanning
that's a lot of resource. That's a resource intensive process there.
Yes, and it probably won't survive.
And Kubernetes probably evicted the pods when it started taking too many resources.
Yeah, and I'm only giving it 6 gigs of my already sparse 16. So I imagine a bit of a failure of a demo, but at least I pre-scanned an app, so you saw what it looked like. And
the UI was
got
good.
an idea. I think it's pretty cool.
UI is I do like the blue. I do like the simplicity of it.
Yeah, I think like when I installed it, I was super impressed. I thought, Jesus,
scaling needs to, I think, go up and down, right? Because I don't mind like hovering over the icon and it's saying runtime scan, but it should almost be, it scales down, you get a logo or an icon, and if it scales up,
it should be.
You should get like a label. It should be labeled.
The port forward keeps kicking me out.
Oof. But yeah, you have these tiny little logos on the side. So I don't know which one's which. There's some.
That's not bad though. When
it isn't bad. I don't mind the hover.
The hover's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like I know in Bridge Crew, when you're not hovering, it's almost purple on purple. Like it's like off purple on purple. It's I don't have a lot of criticism of Bridge Crew, but the icon colors are rubbish.
Very cool.
Yep. So there we go.
All
Quick
right.
one's a good one.
Yeah, it's he's saving my life right now because I'm probably gonna go have some Advil. Maybe we'll cheers to another beer. Michael, thanks for we're gonna meet you soon too now, right? That's the only person I haven't met, and Glenn.
Yeah, you got to come to the UK.
And, yeah, or everybody's got to come to KubeCon North America.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. That's it for the final sign off. The official Toronto episode. Next episode's in the UK, and the next recorded episode is next Friday. Next Friday, 10 a.m., 3 p.m. GMT. Thanks for joining, and have a good one.